She woke up at 1 a.m. and looked at the bedroom door. It was wide open, and standing in the doorway, perfectly still, was a man. He wasn't moving. He was just standing there in the dark, watching her, waiting for something. Last summer, I stayed alone in an Airbnb apartment in Budapest for 5 nights. It was a beautiful place, high ceilings, old wooden floors, big windows overlooking the city. Busy street below, trams running until midnight. I felt completely safe. That was my first mistake. Everything was fine for the first 2 days. I explored the city, came back late, slept well. On the 3rd night, I came home around 11, locked the front door, made sure the chain was on, and went to get ready for bed. The bedroom door, which I always kept closed, was slightly open, about 2 inches. I was sure I had closed it when I left that morning. I always close it. It's a habit. I pushed it shut, told myself the building was old and the doors didn't sit properly, and went to bed. At around 1 in the morning, I woke up. I don't know what woke me. There was no sound, just that feeling, the feeling of air moving in a room that's supposed to be sealed. I opened my eyes and looked at the bedroom door. It was open, wide open this time. And standing in the doorway, perfectly still, was a man. He was tall, dark jacket. He wasn't moving. He was just standing in the darkness of the hallway, looking at me. Like he had been standing there for a while. Like he was waiting for something. For a second, neither of us moved. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just stared at the outline of him standing in the dark doorway and felt every single hair on my body stand up. Then I screamed, the loudest sound I have ever made in my life, and threw myself off the far side of the bed, landing hard on the floor. I heard him move, fast, across the apartment. The front door slammed open so hard it hit the wall. Footsteps pounding down the stairs, getting quieter, then gone. I grabbed my phone and my shoes and ran after him. Not to chase him, I want to be very clear about that. I just needed to get out. I ran down 4 flights of stairs and burst out onto the street. The street was empty. Trams had stopped running. It was completely silent. I stood there barefoot, shaking, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. And then I realized something that made everything worse. The front door chain had been on when I went to bed. I always put it on, always. But when he ran out, the chain wasn't broken. It wasn't forced. It was just unhooked. He had been inside the apartment when I came home. He was already there when I locked the door and put the chain on myself. He had been in there with me the entire evening, while I was cooking, while I was in the shower, while I was getting ready for bed. He had been somewhere in that apartment, silent, still, waiting, while I moved through my evening completely unaware, and then he waited for me to fall asleep. I called my best friend, and she drove 4 hours to pick me up from that street. I sat on the curb with my knees pulled up to my chest until I saw her headlights turn the corner. I didn't go back for my things. I left everything: clothes, toiletries, my laptop charger, a book I'd been reading for a month. I didn't care about any of it. I never found out who he was or how he got in. The listing is still up, with 5-star reviews. From people who have no idea, I now travel with a rubber door stopper. It goes under every door, every single night, the moment I check in, before I do anything else. I was 23, traveling alone through Portugal. I found a cheap Airbnb in a small coastal town. 1-bedroom apartment, 2nd floor, great reviews. The host communicated only through the app. No phone number, no face. Just a name and a blurry profile photo. I arrived late, around 11 at night. The place was clean, quiet, a small balcony overlooking a narrow street. I unpacked, took a shower, made tea, and got into bed with my laptop. At midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it, probably spam. 2 minutes later, it rang again. Then again, third call. I picked up, heavy breathing. Then a voice, low and calm, like someone trying not to be heard. He said, "I can see you're still awake. Turn off the light and go to sleep." Then the call ended. I sat there completely frozen. I was alone. The curtains were closed. The door was locked. How could he see me? I got up slowly and pressed myself against the wall next to the window. I didn't touch the curtain. I just stood there in the dark, not moving, barely breathing. My phone rang again. I didn't answer. Then a text came through from the same number. No words, just a photo. It was a photo of me, taken from outside, through the window. I was in it, sitting on the bed, laptop open, tea on the nightstand, exactly as I had been 20 minutes ago. Before I closed the curtains, before I even knew he was out there. He had been watching me from the moment I arrived. My whole body went cold. I grabbed my passport, my bag, my shoes, didn't even put them on, and ran out of the apartment, down the stairs, through the lobby, out onto the street. I stopped and looked up at my window. The balcony door was open. The curtains were moving in the wind. I had locked that door. I ran. 2 blocks to a small hotel, barefoot on the cobblestones, and I hammered on the reception desk until someone came out. I couldn't speak. I just kept showing them the photo on my phone. I sat on the hotel bed with every light on until sunrise. When I finally looked at the photo again in daylight, really looked at it, I noticed something I had missed. In the reflection of the window glass on the street below, there was a figure, standing completely still, looking up at my window. He had been right there on the street the whole time, watching from below with a zoom lens, close enough that I could have walked past him when I left. That photo is still on my phone. I can't delete it, because if I delete it, I might start thinking it wasn't as bad as it was. And I need to remember exactly how bad it was, so I never, ever let my guard down again. Close your curtains before you even unpack. Put something against the door before you sleep. Check the room before you shower. And if something like this happened to you, leave it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe and turn on notifications. New stories every week. I'll see you in the dark.